Today is episode 110 on the deep dives, 6 if you're in binary. But I'm going to be talking a little bit more about Jude and 2 Peter today, and Dusty's going to be talking a little bit more about music. So, episode 110. Threw a little nerdy math in there.
I wanted to say a joke about being non-binary, but I don't even know what that means. But I know it has something to do with gender stuff these days. Oh, wait a minute. I put my hat on.
Well, if you're base 10, you're non-binary.
I don't know anything about it. I don't want to say anything.
Okay.
So I got my box of life over here. I'm going to start calling this my box of life. So I wake up in the morning, okay, what am I going to bring in today? I end up putting stuff in boxes, you know. Mm-hmm. This is my life for the last week. Okay. We got Tylenol cold flu. Let me tell you what that's good for. In the day, Chris, it's good for body aches, fever, sore throat, cough, nasal congestion, mucus congestion, chest congestion. At night, it's good for head, body ache, cough, whatever, da-da-da-da. Now,
how does that pill know if it's day or night?
I don't know. One's blue, one's yellow.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's how they know.
I didn't know there were 2 different pills in there.
2 different pills. And this one's good. Sudafed, PE. Head congestion, flu, severe sinus pressure, sore throat, cough, headache, cough.
Now, is that the good stuff with the pseudoephedrine that you have to get behind the counter, or is that from Okay.
No, I got this all from the shelf.
Because see, because everyone likes to make meth with the pseudoephedrine stuff.
I don't make meth with that particular one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The one on the shelf
anymore
was like phenylalanine or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't work as well on me and my wife too. Like, we'll take that and it doesn't really do anything. We have to go behind the counter and get the pseudoephedrine stuff, scan our license and all that.
Well, whenever you're in this situation, you pretty much do. I don't care if I scan after. I don't care if I have to go back and get it myself. You know what I mean? I'll get it. Just and it's real funny because when I'm in this mindset, the last thing I want to do, Chris, is go to a counter and look at this very small writing. Okay, which one do I have? I do have congestion, but it's not really. You know what I mean? You're evaluating. What I don't have this, but I have this. I don't have this, but you find yourself there going, somebody please give me what I need. So I finally went up to the pharmacist and said, my head hurts. I've got a sore throat, my nose, I'm sneezing and I'm coughing, but only at night. Just tell me to take something, you know what I mean? I don't care if it's a sugar pill, if it's going to help me, whatever. Excuse me.
Yeah, I noticed your voice was a little different last night and this morning.
I'm good for about an hour a day. So last night I took 3 naps. I was able to edit many of the pictures that I took of West Florida baseball the day before. Mm-hmm. And I can do that and sleep and do that in my chair and sleep. And so I took 3 naps yesterday and got in prep for the gun club last night. I took my last nap was a 2-hour nap up until 5:15. I woke up feeling really good. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm daggone it. 6 hours of a nap during the day should do anybody. It should fix anybody's problems, right? So, and I had a good time last night. It was good. But I was prepared.
Right.
If I wasn't prepared, it'd be different. You know, if I was winging it, it would be different. But yeah, my voice changes as the days go. Mm-hmm. So last night, I don't even know what it sounded like.
Like today.
Like today's? Okay.
Yeah. A little bit more bass than normal.
Okay. Well, it's been a week. We went up to Alpharetta. I think we recorded on Saturday last week, right?
Yes.
Our last episode was Saturday. And we went up there, and what happened was, what happened was I forgot my CPAP machine. Mm-hmm. And without Destri's CPAP machine, he doesn't sleep very well. And when Destry doesn't sleep very well, he becomes very sensitive to the environment. And there's two little lovelies up there that were sick. One just over, it's three little lovelies up there that are sick. Our nieces, our twin nieces, one, Rachel, has two babies, and Emily has one toddler, and they're all having congestion stuff. So I like loving on those little things, man.
Are they usually like in daycare or in school or something?
One of them is in daycare sometime. At the time, they weren't.
Okay.
But she does go sometime.
That was a noticeable change. Like when our daughter started going to school, like there was a whole cocktail of stuff that she was exposed to that she was bringing home now, and then we're all getting sick and everything. Yep. And then when she went off to college, same thing. Now it's not just all of the Pensacola stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It's all of the international stuff and everywhere else in the United States. And yeah, it's just like it's a global cocktail of,
right.
of stuff that she's not exposed to, and she comes home on the weekends. And
well, let me tell you what kind of uncle I am. This little boy, Nico, his name's Nico. Mm-hmm. He just looks like a doll baby. He is such a good-looking little boy, and he calls me Bob. I call him Bob. Hi, Bob. We're Bob to each other. I kiss him every morning when I see him. But he's just a toddler. Energy, just unbelievable amount of energy. And this is why God has never allowed us to have kids. I'm convinced of it. We get out of the van. The first thing I do is go over. Well, first time I see him, he shows me his chalk writing in the driveway. It says Nico, and his mother has written Nico at a little trail. And there was a pile of green chalk there that he had probably just scrubbed on it, and it left a lot of loose chalk. And I looked at him, and I picked it up, and I put it on my face like this. What do you think he did? He did the same thing. Yeah. He did. I went, oh my gosh, that probably wasn't a good thing for me to do. Next thing I know, I'm looking around. There's two dogs, two white fluffy dogs. They've got green stuff all over. Nico had put green stuff all over the dogs and everything. I'm like, Emily, I'm sorry. His mother, Emily, I'm sorry. I'm here for less than 5 minutes. I'm a negative influence on your children. I'm so sorry.
That reminds me one time, my wife had this thing of flour that had expired or whatever, and so she told me to go take it out, and I thought, I want to see what happens. So I just left it in a pile in the front yard because I'm like, it's flour. I wonder if something will eat it or ants will get to it or something like that. So I went out in the middle of the front yard, made a little pile of flour there. Didn't think about it. We had this neighborhood cat that we had. It came by our house all the time, and we ended up sort of like unofficially adopting it whenever it was in our house. Mm-hmm. And I named it Extra Cat. And it was out there in the yard, and it went over and sniffed it, sniffed at the pile, and it looked up at me and had this like white powder mustache. Looked like this cat had a crack addiction or something.
That's funny. That's funny.
What's going on there, Extra?
Man, that engineering mind. I've never thought of taking a bag of flour and just letting it sit. Just see what happens. Just see what happens.
Nothing really happened to it. It just kind of dissolved away when the rain came.
Probably I guess that was what happened. And other cats came up and sniffed it and brought it back to their pack.
Yeah, nature doesn't really consume, I guess, processed food that much.
That's funny. That's funny. Anyway, okay, so we're fighting through, man. We're going through.
All right.
And if you heard the episode last week, I think I talked about what I brought to one of the baseball games last week. This week I went to the baseball games, and I stopped bringing cases. I just brought cameras with me. So the camera with a 300 lens is about this big. I put it on a unipod, and I put it over my shoulder, and I have a belt on. So no mistaking, I'm bringing cameras into to my jobs now at West Florida High School, and I love watching those kids play ball and the seniors, and there's such a huge difference between a senior playing ball senior playing ball and a freshman man, there's a big developmental difference in those years.
Which high school did you say it was?
West Florida.
Oh, it's my brother-in-law teaches.
West Florida. It's a huge difference. I mean, the smallest guy on the freshman is probably 5'6", 5'7". He's small for anybody, for anything. He's really small. And the biggest guy is 6'2", looks like he could play pro ball, you know what I mean? Or at least college ball. And just seeing those guys, there's only 2 years difference in these guys, or 3 years difference in these guys. It's unreal.
I remember when I was in college the first time, going away, like, you know, at the beginning of the semester, coming back during vacation, and like the pastor's son, when I left, he was like this little bitty thing.
Yeah.
And just a couple months later, I came back and I'm looking
serious.
up and I'm like, this dude is huge.
Yes.
Like, oh my goodness.
Well, how about Natasha's kids?
Oh yeah.
My goodness gracious, Natasha's boys, 4 years ago, they were kids, were they not? Last night they came in the gun club after we had class. I'm looking both of them in the eye, you know, kind of looking up. One of them straight in the youngest one, I'm looking straight in the eye. Those one I'm looking up and going, daggone, when did that happen? You know?
Right.
And they're like poodle puppies. You know, they don't know where their arms are.
Yeah.
But they're learning basketball and getting more agile and all that. I love seeing that development, you know what I mean? And I just started last year taking photos of these kids, and I'm seeing a difference already in the posture and the strength and the agility of some of them. One of these kids last week, he pitched a full game, which is, I've never seen it in a high school, and I've only got 1 year in this, one full year last year, and probably going into half the season this year. It's not uncommon for the high school teams that I've seen play use 5 or 6 pitchers, even if it's not really a pitcher. He likes to pitch.
Yeah.
If they get down to it, they'll put him in. You know, they're not scared of putting a left fielder in pitching if they have to do that. This guy went in. I think he was a freshman last year. He pitched the whole game, and he struck his last batter out with a fastball. Bam!
Yeah.
Man, and he's a regular-looking kid, you know what I mean?
Right.
But they get, they go, 8 or 9 innings, something like that?
9 innings.
I think they go 9 innings high school.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable, man. It was really cool. It was one of those, you know, kids were just so happy and they're clapping. It wasn't anything like a no-hitter or anything like that, but he pitched the whole game. And to strike a guy out the last pitch, that means I still got some.
Right.
You know, I'm still...
Well, you know, at that age, you're regenerating the entire time.
You are.
You have that youthful healing
but it was
ability.
You're right, but I still never saw somebody go the distance.
Yeah.
You know, there was a player last year that's playing somewhere in college this year. He was a man among boys. You know what I mean? He was on the mound, and he would wind up, and he would bring it. It's almost like he'd use every bit of the mound. And, you know, me taking the pictures in rapid fire, I can look and see every second that he's in less than a second. And his arm's way back here, and he's, you know what I mean? He's to us, in real time, it looks like he's just throwing the ball real fast.
Right.
He's doing all kinds of different stuff with his hand. One time it's over like this, and he's almost all the way spun over.
Yeah.
And what that thing does.
That's amazing to me when they can do that. You know, because
excuse me.
Like, I know the physics of what's going on, but to be able to just like do that with your arm and your hand and coordinate, like there's a ton of degrees of freedom here.
Yeah.
And a lot of different variables to tweak, and they just do that automatically.
As engineers, think about how fast that ball has to go from the short distance that it travels. I don't know how far that is from mound to first base, but it's not that far.
Right.
You know, as far as how fast it's going, I mean, it's got to be going really quick to take that drop that it does, or whatever it's going to do. They can, you know, the good guys and girls can make it. Yeah. You can make it
even more astounding is like women in the softball leagues, because they pitch entirely differently. It's this weird underhanded,
it's really
like
weird, man.
Yeah. I watch them and I'm like, what chaos just happened there?
I know,
and
right.
then they have such control over it. And they can impart spins and all that kind of stuff too. And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, it's just
My hope is to get with the athletic director and start taking pictures of all the sports out there.
Yeah.
I'd really like for that to happen. There's a lot going on.
there's this thing that a bunch of people built. It was called Spin Launch. It was a way for them to it was an experiment to see if they could get something into like low Earth orbit by spinning it like I guess one of those spinning catapults
Okay.
and just flinging it. And they built it and they tested it and everything. And the whole deal was like we're going to spin it in a chamber that's a partial vacuum, so you don't have the air resistance going in. And then at this precise moment, you're gonna the clamp's gonna come off and the thing's gonna launch. But like to maintain a vacuum, it all has to be sealed off. So how do you like get it out of this vacuum chamber in a way that doesn't like compromise the vacuum inside it, because you want to be able to reload it or whatever without having to spend all this time reproducing a vacuum in this huge vessel. And so they had like these two trap doors where they would actuate in a very precise order, so that when this thing launched, because once it lets go, it goes in a straight line. So the first door would open, this thing would come into this chamber, that door would close, so it reestablishes the seal for the vacuum. Then the second door would open and it would come out the end of it, and that's when it's out in the atmosphere. And so you had to time these two things. Anyway, the point of all that, the spin launch thing, that's what it reminds me of with these girls that do the wild spin, because they're doing a spin launch with their arm.
Spin launch.
It's just this huge rotation where it comes off the bottom of that swing, and they let go at the precise moment to hit that very precise target over on the other end. And like, I think of the complexity of that spin launch device and the timing and all that stuff to make sure that they get that projectile right where it needs to be. And the human brain just does that like automatically. I mean, yeah, you practice and do muscle memory, but
You have the capability of doing it. It's amazing.
just the physics of throwing a ball, whether it's overhand or underhand, just the amount of like raw math that your brain is doing, just it boggles my mind all the time when we do that. Just
I know it is amazing. And I saw a kid last week. How I'm astonished on how different approaches are used. Right, and I'm sure some of it is natural, and the coach uses what they're doing naturally and kind of zeroes in on what's most efficient. This was the first kid I've ever seen throwing sidearm. You've seen
I
pros-
used to throw sidearm when I was a kid. Yeah,
He's throwing like this, way down, and I had Coach Conti standing next to me. This was a freshman, I believe. Yeah, no, wasn't a freshman because it was JV.
Yeah.
It was a JV kid. I said, Coach, what do you do with a kid like that obviously throws differently? He says, well, it's a very niche. If I think I asked him if he wanted to go to the next level, what would you do for? And Coach Conti, this whole baseball field is dedicated to him. It's Coach Conti, Mark Conti baseball field. He was there for 20 years, so he knows what he's doing. He said, if he goes to the next level, he will be a relief pitcher. And because that does so much to your arm,
right.
So much torque, and can do so much damage, his pitch count can't be that high. Unless it's a freak of nature, if he's had op or whatever, but everything equal, he'll come in and be a relief pitcher and be a really good one. You know what I mean? Because if he can make that, if you're hitting a left, if you're throwing whatever, even if you're a left hand, whatever he has is a talent that can be used to get that last pitcher out, and then win the World Series, or win the game that you need to win. He pitches three throws, 100 miles an hour, and get it. But he's not going to pitch a full game like that. But it was fun to watch him throw differently, how his body is different, and his arm is almost unnaturally torqued.
Yes.
Down here. It's almost hitting the ground when the guy's throwing them. Man, how does that happen? It's doing the same thing, but looking at it as a batter, it's got to be coming from such a different angle.
Right.
You know, and the batters to be able to hit him, which they were not doing a bad job. They won that game. But that's got to be such a hard thing to stand there knowing that ball is coming at however fast. I guess high school players are.
Yeah, well, especially if you're the batter and you're used to practicing with people that pitch overhand, and then someone comes out at you with a sidearm, that ball moves entirely differently.
Yeah, and it probably moves a lot. Probably naturally. His fastball probably moves anyway because it's coming down and got some natural torque to it, I would imagine. But anyway. It's fun, so I'm enjoying that. I went up there a couple of times. I shouldn't have been. I stayed away from people. You know what I mean? I'm out there. I'm not feeling the best, but I would rest up for the day, and then I'd go out there for 2, 3, 4 hours.
Getting that fresh air is good for you anyway.
And moving around, I had it in. You know, I had congestion right here, so moving around is good for that. You don't want to sit around. But at some point, it just becomes the energy that you have or don't have to make it happen.
Whenever I come down with that, my daytime is fueled by Dayquil. Take a couple swigs of that through the day, and then
push through.
Yep.
My body didn't know what to do last night because I drank a cup of coffee right when I got to the church. We had our class goes from 6:30 to 7:30. That was good. I was fine, and I went home. I took some whatever it is. I guess it's Tylenol night. You got Tylenol night. So I felt like half my body going, "Oh yeah, this is good," and other half was stuff like this. So honestly, I could have either stayed up for a couple more hours or went right to sleep, and I decided to go right to sleep. It was funny. It was almost like my body was saying, "You can do either one you want to do. You're not going to do either one of them very well." But you could do what you want to do right now. Stay awake or go to sleep. And I just went to sleep. I thought that was funny. Music-wise.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Last week I told y'all that I bought 2 new CDs. These are I don't know if y'all have heard about these or not. They're called compact discs. They're the new rage in music. Chris?
Pay attention.
Look for them. They're coming out. This Bob Dylan, and I listened to the whole thing, and I told you I think it's typical later 90s Bob Dylan. Good. If you don't like Bob Dylan, you ain't gonna like this. Nope. That's what he sounds like, Chris. All right. There are some. I've bought Elton John albums. He's so prolific. I bought some Elton John albums that I just love, man. I just never heard it. Never heard some of the songs from the 70s, from the 80s, and I just love it. This one is not one of those CDs. I'll rate this an SS. Suck City. This is.
Would that be SC?
SC. Suck City. Where I come from, SC thing, SS.
Where you coming from in South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina?
You want to see about Kmart.
Their Kmart starts with a C.
Excuse me. That's funny. Elton John, the one. This ain't the one for nobody. Let me say God bless you, Elton John. I don't think his writing partner was with him during this. I think he went on his own or something. And went. It seems to me like every song was just begging to be on the top 40. I just want to be on. And I don't blame him for that. You know, I make some money. You know what I mean? I'm sure he doesn't have any more money after all those whatever.
Was it the lyrics of the song that you didn't like, or just the way the songs were done?
Every song was so commercial and so. It just the formula was such that verse gaps into a verse and then goes over here and does 3 things. And then the formula is
okay.
Oh, it's just terrible. 3 minutes, 2 seconds, all of them exact same thing, and him singing. I don't know if his voice was changing or what, but I just didn't enjoy it at all, man. Not at all.
Yeah.
And there are some that I've bought that I've never heard that I've come to this podcast and said, man, I love this CD. Love it. Fantastic. Morning said, this is 90s. The ones that I've bought and really loved were in the 70s.
Yeah.
Big surprise, right? That's just where my head is. But I mean, if you put out 50 CDs, one of them's bound to be bad. You know what I mean? You just go on about the next thing. So I just wanted to report on this one. The one you'll be able to find this in the thrift store in Pensacola here real shortly if you want it. I did want to bring some bad news too. The lead singer for Boston, Tommy DiCarlo, dies at age 60 of brain cancer. And isn't that just a horrible way? Isn't that horrible just to hear of brain cancer? You're having brain cancer. Like you think about how his family and he suffered. Just really feel for his family and his family and friends. So let me just read a little bit that Google had for him written out. Tommy DiCarlo, lead vocalist for the rock band Boston since 2008, died on March 9th, 2026 at age 60. Very young, by the way. 1 year younger than me, 2 years younger than you. Following a battle with brain cancer, a former Home Depot credit manager, DiCarlo was discovered by founder Tom Schultz after posting tribute covers on MySpace and went on to front the band for nearly 20 years. So he's one of those stories that put his stuff out there and the band heard it and went, man, yeah, we like that.
It's amazing to me how many artists now are found through things like social media. Like there's a bunch of artists who they were discovered through TikTok, or they were discovered because they were putting their stuff on YouTube. Or like this guy who was like in the early days of social media, he put his stuff on MySpace. It's funny how that happens.
It tells me one of two things. It tells me social media, awesome, and I grew up around a lot of musicians, and I am convinced that many of them could have made it had they been in the right place at the right time, or if they were willing to move out of a small town to go to wherever they needed to go to get discovered.
Yeah.
In other words, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of talented singers and musicians that could be professional if they just had been discovered. You know what I mean? It's just real life things just don't allow them to be able to be in a position.
Well, I mean, think about the way people were discovered at one time. It was either they're performing as some no-name person in a local bar or something like that, or like you had to physically go to the record labels and hand them your demo tape or something. And so like the amount of exposure you could get was very limited. And not only that, but the people who were making the big decisions, the amount of time they had to listen to people auditioning was very limited. Whereas now, you're just scrolling, like everybody sits there in their downtime and scrolls through social media or whatever. Think about that, that person who works the record label, who usually makes those decisions. Now he has the ability to sit there and scroll through 100 different people who have something up on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, as opposed to listening to maybe 2 or 3 demo tapes a day or something. So I can see why it would be way to people's advantage to have that the ability to like put your stuff out on social media, but at the same time, it's a much larger pool now.
What is it?
It's like infinitely larger. So like, how does anybody get discovered?
Right.
Because if there's millions of people out there,
it's
almost like the concept of being in the right place at the right time still exists, but entirely different context. It's like your Instagram reel or whatever has to flash up on this guy's phone at the exact right time. I wonder how many artists are discovered nowadays while the person making decisions is going to the bathroom. Sorry, that was a side note.
That was crass.
That just popped into my head.
But not only that, the mood of the person receiving the data. Because a person that makes their living out of discovering artists. I mean, they have moods too, and I guess they probably maybe can take themselves out of that mode and just see raw talent, but still, not everybody's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The talent discoverers are not right. They might be in a bad mood and not, or a mood of sorrow and not want to hear this rock song sometimes.
Right.
And then the next month they hear it and go, "Why haven't I ever heard this? I gave this tape to you last week." You know. So not to mention that's a moving target as well. I raced with a guy, raced bikes with a guy. I think I told the story before, but whenever I was moving up in the ranks, I went to I don't know if it was whatever rank I was moving up to. This was the first race in this new rank, and I got blown off the back. It was in Louisiana. Man, I never got into this race. I just never got comfortable. I was so far back. I looked at who is up there making all this hard pace that I can't even get on. Think about it. You got 100 guys go around the corner. The front guys can go in at their speed, right? 25 miles an hour. Guys back here are having a break. They're speeding out of the corner while you're still braking. And think about the math of that. They're already back, accelerating out of the corners in their drops, killing it at 30 miles an hour, and you're still braking to go around this corner. You got to get up and you've got to match that somehow to get back into that draft. I did that about 5 times. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
He just got on the front and he hammered it. And that's exactly what this guy meant to do, to get the shaft up, just to get the waist out, to turn 100 cyclists into 50 top cyclists that really want to compete for this race. And I just didn't have it that day. And I was talking to somebody after the race. He said, "Destry, he says, there's nothing to be ashamed of." And he told me this guy's name. He said, "This guy rips everybody a new one."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, who is he?" And I started doing some research and told, oh yeah, man, he's in there. You know, you really got to, okay, whatever. And I learned his story. He runs his father's construction company. He is great talent, talented, athletic, just out of college or whatever. He could be probably talented enough to be a pro cyclist, but think about his life. He's running a construction company for his family. He's got that big fat truck. He's got his young hot wife, girlfriend, starting a family. He goes to, he lives in Louisiana. There's a lot of races around there. He goes and wins $1,000 a weekend racing his bike. If he were to go pro, which he could do, he would be one in a bucket over in France somewhere, and he would maybe be racing with some of the top guys. It just wasn't his goal.
Yeah.
What? And he said that. He said, "Why do I want to do that? You know, I'm here. I'm clean. I'm not doping. I'm just, I just got some talent. I'm whipping y'all's butts. Why do I want to go anywhere else?"
Right.
Said, well, that makes a lot of sense. I wish you'd go somewhere else, but that's just me. I can't even stay on your wheel,
Right.
So it's not everybody's goal to be a pro musician or whatever. We've talked about musician, and you're a musician yourself. You like to play the mandolin.
I would love to be a musician.
You think that's generous calling you a musician?
100% generous calling me a musician. Like, I tinker with stuff.
Gotcha.
I've talked to my wife about this. Like, I love listening to music, and like, I have music in my head a lot, but I don't have the skill to play an instrument. Like, my background is I grew up listening to a lot of bluegrass and things like that, and I love that kind of music. I have a guitar, I have a mandolin, I have a banjo. I have these things, but I don't know how to play any of them with any sort of skill that would allow me to, like, hey, I'd like to, jam with you sometime.
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
I can kind of pick away at stuff because, the other thing is so many things happening in life, I don't have the time to devote like a couple hours a day to practice these things. So it's always one of those things where if I could give something up in my life and trade it for that ability, there's a ton of stuff I would give up. Even things that are either like necessary or important. Like I would love to be able to do that, to play with the kind of skill that I listen to when I'm listening to these groups.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Just to be able to play that. So I'm not a musician. I want to be.
A lot of people don't know this. Chris is an established tambourine player.
Yes. Yeah.
Not a lot of people know that. In the 60s, he used to play the tambourine.
There's this video.
I've seen pictures of you, Chris. I know.
There's this video on YouTube that I saw a while back. In building construction, when you're building like in coastal environments or whatever, and buildings have to be elevated on pilings, those pilings have to be driven. And around here, there's heavy equipment that does that holds the piling vertical, and a big hammer that
Boy, we hear it, man.
Oh, yeah.
Especially going over the bridge when I'm building another bridge.
Yep.
Ooh, man.
Or even like a rotary hammer that's like and the thing's just going down. Well, there's a video in some like third world country where they don't have that equipment, but what they did is they built scaffolding on the piling, and like just 20, 30 people, whatever, climb on this scaffolding and are being supported by this piling. And there's one guy with a tambourine, and he starts going, singing some song, and the tambourine, and everybody's on that scaffolding going,
oh, that's crazy.
They're just going up and down, and the people are in that piling just, and there's just one guy singing with a tambourine, keeping everybody in rhythm.
That is crazy.
I'm like, that is the best thing in the world, man.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I like it.
If you saw me playing a tambourine, it was probably, you said in the 60s, of course, that would have been with a baby rattler, probably throwing it.
Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, so
now it comes the drums. Technically, I was a musician because
you are a drummer.
Yeah,
right?
I did play
Right.
in a lot of different groups and stuff like that when I was younger.
You're Cinderella's drummer.
Yes,
is that right?
Yeah.
Hair band.
More like worship team. Yeah.
Seriously, you were a worship team drummer, right?
Yep.
Pretty
and for a time, at church I went to, that pastor and his wife had a long history of like being traveling musicians, so they were still doing some of that when I was at that church.
Okay.
And so I traveled around with them to a couple different places.
All right. How about it? Working musician, we got right. Yeah.
But that was it.
Well, listen, we had class last night. It was a good class. I was glad to be back after 2 weeks again, taking off. And I talked a little bit about, I introduced competitive shooting. And I thought we'd talk about that a little bit. And you, not finished up, but you talked about Jude again.
Oh, yeah. We're nowhere near finished in Jude. That one chapter book is totally deep.
Man, it takes you to so many other books. So
yeah, it does. And last night it took us to 2 Peter because 2 Peter and Jude are very similar in their scope.
And I didn't know that either. I mean, looking at it, it's obvious, but it never occurred to me that they're written very similar.
Yeah, almost to the point where you could say, Jude plagiarized Peter, or vice versa, because some of them have the very same wording.
Yeah,
they reference the same passages in the Old Testament. Like they both talk about the error of Balaam, and they both talk about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and all that kind of, and like the angels that fell, and they're both warning about the same thing too. Peter in 2 Peter is writing to saved people and saying, watch out for this type of thing that happens, that was happening and is going to happen in the church, and that is people coming and corrupting the message of Jesus.
And it not being too obvious.
Right, and it not being too obvious. It's a very sinister, like, it's happening, you don't even know it type thing. So here's some things to look for and make sure, because this is, to fall back on an early analogy, this is a bunch of BS. It's bad cancer.
Yeah.
In the church. And So there were one passage in Peter and one passage in Jude that sound a lot alike, but the message behind them is slightly different. Both of them talk about these things called love feasts, which was a practice in the early church, and even today in churches we might call them a potluck or something like that. But they were called love feasts. They were Christians coming together, eating together, having a feast together. It was also a mechanism for like people who were in need in the church to come and like they could have sustenance and things like that. So everyone like bring what they could, and it was this environment of fellowship and encouragement and all that stuff. And both passages in 2 Peter and in Jude use the terminology of spots in your feasts. And depending on which translation of the Bible you're reading, Jude might take on a different English translation. It might be spots in your feasts or rocks or reefs. And the reason is because the Greek word behind both passages sound a lot alike, but there's some subtle differences that some translators will render differently. In Peter, it talks about like a stain, or that kind of spot, like you're coming up to a table and it's stained, and it corrupts that table or whatever. And he uses that as an analogy of these people who are in the church and corrupting the gospel of Christ. It's like they're a stain in these feasts of charity. Jude, the Greek word behind the phrase he uses oftentimes is rendered as reefs or rocks. And the idea is, especially when you compare it to the other analogies that are coupled with this one, he's referring to like natural phenomenon. And the term reefs or rocks, think about in terms of like ships coming into a harbor, and there's hidden reefs or hidden rocks that have the potential to damage the ship and even sink the ship. He said these are these hidden damaging elements in these feasts, and he said like these people will come and they're not participating in these feasts as a means of encouragement to fellow believers. They're there selfishly for their own gain, this stuff. And he says, this is verse 12 of Jude, there's spots in your feasts of charity when they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear. And then he goes on to further bring further analogies into this. So there are spots in your feasts of charity, or like rocks. They're clouds without water. They're trees without fruit. They're raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. They're wandering stars. All of these are meant to convey this picture that these people are claiming to be one thing, but they're actually something else that's quite dangerous. Clouds without water. You think, it says, clouds they are without water, carried about of winds. 2 Peter uses the same analogy, but think about the purpose of clouds. They bring rain. It's extremely necessary. Hydrologic cycle, plants, all that stuff. Drinking water, recharge the aquifer. Everything that comes along with it. He says these people are clouds without water. They carry the picture of we have something that's beneficial, but they're not. They're deceptive. He said that they're trees whose fruit withereth, without fruit, twice dead, plucked up by the roots. A tree that you would normally go to for sustenance. It's the tree that's supposed to produce these fruits, but they're not. They're withered. They're dried up. They're plucked up by the roots. Here again, having the outward appearance of something that's useful and necessary, but they're not. They're actually the opposite. They're consuming resources and not providing anything in return. The raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. They're wandering stars to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. In navigation, wandering stars, in ancient times before they knew that, the full breadth of knowledge we have of astronomy now, they would look up at the sky, and there were a lot of stars that were fixed points, and they were used for navigation. They were used for thinking of the constellations. They were used as images in the sky that would encapsulate some type of narrative of history or a story or something. But then there are other stars that moved with respect to the fixed points. We know them as planets, but they were often called wandering stars. Well, if you're navigating, you don't navigate by the ones that are wandering. You navigate by the ones that are fixed points, because those are the reference points, the North Star, things like that. And so here again, they carry the appearance of being something that is useful, but if you go by what they say, you'll get lost. They're wandering stars. And then there's also, subtle references there where it talks about to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Some people will correlate that with in the Old Testament, the wandering stars might be a picture of the angels that rebelled, and they're reserved in darkness for judgment. Some people make that comparison. The point of all that is Jude over and over again and 2 Peter over and over again are warning us time and time again that to look around in our Christian circles and our churches and stuff, and be extremely aware of two things. One, be extremely aware of what the truth is. In fact, in 2 Peter, he closes with the advice. He said this. Ye therefore, beloved, seeing ye know these things before, beware lest ye also, being led away with the error of the wicked, fall from your own steadfastness. So he's talking a lot like Jude does, because Jude said, be aware, or be wary of these people who are creeping in. They're changing the grace of God into lascivious, denying the only Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, all that stuff. And 2 Peter's saying the same thing, and they both have the same advice, because look at what 2 Peter said in the very last verse of his letter, which, by the way, this was kind of like Peter's farewell address, because he also said, I'm not long for this world, it's kind of like his parting advice. But Jude says, contend for the faith. And Peter says the same thing, just a little bit different way. He said, how do we combat this? How do we put ourselves in a position to recognize it? He said, grow in grace, grow in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So how do we do that? Well, we're doing that now. We're diving deep into Scripture. We're talking about this with other people who are studying Scripture. This was one of the aspect of these feasts, these love feasts, as you're coming together with fellow believers and you're encouraging each other, and being in an environment where everybody has the same goal and the same pursuit. We're grounding ourselves in truth. We're digging into that truth over and over again, so that when this error is presented, we can recognize it, and we can contend for the faith. And so that's the what I have for today. Next time when we talk about this, we're going to get into a little bit more weird stuff, because the very next verse talks about Enoch, which was the seventh generation from Adam, prophesying. He refers to Enoch as a prophet. He said he prophesied about Christ's second coming, which seems a little bit weird to us, because this was thousands of years before his first coming. This was before the flood. Enoch was already talking about this stuff, talking about him coming with 10,000s of his saints and things like that. So,
if you had to If you had to elevator pitch Enoch, how would you do it? What is it, first of all?
Like the person Enoch?
No, what he did, what he wrote.
Okay. So yeah, the Book of Enoch, which wasn't written by Enoch, but it was. There's like 3 books: first, second, third Enoch. The first one was the earliest one, and a lot of people believe that while it wasn't written by Enoch, it was a writing that recorded an oral tradition that was passed down from Enoch. Then Enoch, the second and third Enoch, are other books that were written much later. Different theme, that kind of stuff. But like overall, people claim that these were the words of Enoch, just passed down and eventually written down. Whether or not that's true is up for debate. And that debate is one of the main reasons why Enoch was never incorporated into our Bibles as canon of Scripture. There's only one Christian tradition that does. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church considers it canon of Scripture. Some branches of Christianity think of it as apocryphal. Other branches ignore it entirely. Regardless of what your opinion is, it was an important work in its time, and it was referenced both in Jude and in 2 Peter, because at the very least, it was something that Jews were reading at the time this was all written, and it informed their worldview.
Well, it certainly seems like it would be valuable if it's mentioned,
right?
And Jews were reading it. It sort of seems like something we could learn from,
right? At the very minimum, it's like me in a discussion referring to something from Shakespeare's Othello, or the Journey of Odyssey, like the Odyssey or whatever,
right.
Iliad and the Odyssey. So just because I reference it doesn't mean that it's something that actually happened.
That's right.
But at the very least, it's a widely known work of literature that informed the worldview of the people at the time.
There you go.
And so that's how we approach it.
Yeah.
That way we stay away from all the conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff.
You teach us about it, and you acknowledge it exists, and it has some value, and this is what it says, and
right.
We don't necessarily believe in everything that it says, but this is what they were reading about.
Right. And there are certain elements of it that seem very plausible in their ability to be true.
Right.
But ultimately, we don't have that smoking gun that says this is 100% true.
That's why it's not canon. Okay.
Right.
That's the definition of God. Got
Yep.
it. We enjoyed that in Gun Club, in Hollow Point Gun Club, reading about that. Everybody's with bated breath waiting to,
well,
hear more
it's
about
something
that.
that a lot of people are interested in because it tickles that part of our brain that's really into conspiracy theories and the secret knowledge of stuff, And so it's fun for that.
Yep, it's fun for
as
that.
long as we go into it with the right with the right goals.
Right, absolutely. Chris, you doing okay? You're in pain. Chris is in pain today.
Yeah.
He's got a pain somewhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
He's got pain everywhere, and his just general outlook on the world itself.
And having to do some
I like the world. I love everybody in the world. Mm-hmm. Yay.
He's also medicated today.
All right, Chris.
Well, that was fun.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. And we'll be back with episode 111. Donna, I love you, and we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye.